This is a story beyond the headline, very sad story. A Black federal worker dies after being stressed out over layoffs. Maryland. In Maryland, the family of Monique Lockett, a federal worker who died at her job 2 months ago, believes her stress and uncertainty about the current White House administration's sweeping overhaul of federal agencies contributed to their loved one's death. Ms. Lockett died on the 18th of February at a job at SSA, Social Security Administration. She was on the campus just outside of Baltimore. She walked into the building, fell asleep at her desk, never woke up. That's according to a police report cited by CNN. She worked there for 25 years, was just 5 years from retirement. Now, while this is one story, and I have a lot of additional details, please know this is a microcosm of the macrocosm. I receive emails consistently from people around the country who feel the pain, the burden, the pressure, the stress of what may happen. One mother shared with me that she could no longer pay for her son's college tuition because if or when she gets the axe, she has no retirement. She has to now go into survival mode for her and the family just because of the recklessness.
Shalom, shalom. First thing and foremost, I'm going to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone and rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Noise in this gospel of God, lifting up the standard of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is another lesson through the Spirit. It says, Black woman who died at federal job blamed stress about mass layoffs. Elon Musk Doge spinning cuts her for her death. And this is wild because, time and time again, we've been warning and we've been speaking to our people about putting their hope in a system that's destined to fail them. Now, this is how you know that a person is overly invested in their career. When they give 25 years of service and dedicate their lives and their livelihoods, sacrifice marriage and having kids, or even if they are married with kids, they sacrifice the happiness of their families to put it to some job to be status quo, so to speak. This is one situation I know of a service coordinator I'm dealing with at my job. I work with off-site from time to time. I'm actually getting ready to go to the location here in about 30 minutes. But this lady literally works herself into the ground for a system that will not reciprocate the benefits, man. I'm like, won't you get you an assistant or something like that? She said, well, they won't hire none. I'm like, well, you need to take your vacation. I'm like, how many weeks of vacation you got racked up? And she has quite a few. I'm like, well, why don't you take you a vacation and say, fuck this shit. It'll be there when you come back. But our people are so programmed to do the bidding of the serpent and to serve this man. It's like to unhealthy levels, man. And you see why Jake is dying from heart attacks, obesity, stress. And not only top of that, majority of them went and shot that Jay, which add to the psychological stress of what's happening in their bodies. Then you have situations like this. And you may pose a question on why don't you retire? And most people will say, well, what I'm going to do when I retire? because these people, they are programmed to be slaves, man. And this is why it tells us, I think it's in Isaiah, is it Isaiah 2, or I think it's Jeremiah 2. It says, is Israel servant is your homeborn slave. Okay, because our people seem to get things mixed up. They equate working with freedom and being able to do the things that they want in life. When you spend 85% of your life working, and you may spend 5% of your life actually doing things that you like to do. You know, you may get a 3-4 day or probably a week punk ass vacation just for you to come back and have to do the shit all over again. You know, and I've gotten to the point with work, I'm like, I'm not doing more than what's required. You know, I go and I perform well, make sure my productivity is up to where it needs to be, and I'm chilling. I make work for me, not the other way around. Now, of course, you know, you may have deadlines that you got to hit crunch time and do what you got to do, but people are overly invested in these jobs, and this is the result of it here. And, of course, Jake, mainly that black woman, okay, because the black woman, she would put more into her job than she puts into her husband and her family. You know, and she would say, well, I'm independent, but how the fuck are you independent when you're working for somebody? You know, it make that shit make sense. And then they say, well, I would never serve or submit a man to a man. But yeah, you submit to your boss. And the things that you're doing on a job for your boss, you could be doing at home. You can use that same energy and put it to your household and reap the benefits with less stress. But they don't think about that because women, they're more individual minded. They don't think for the collective. They think for themselves, and they think on their emotions for the time being. You know, they're very impulsive, so to speak. All right. So anyway, I'm going to get this article here. It's pretty long, so I'm not going to read it all. But Jake was pretty much summing it up and narrating it. But it says here, the family of a black federal worker who died at our job 2 months ago believes her stress and uncertainty about the current White House's administration sweeping overhaul of federal agencies contribute to the loved one's death. And this is what happens when you put your faith in Babylon, man. Like the scriptures say, trust ye not in an unsure or uncertain guide, roughly paraphrasing it. Okay, Jake has put their faith in this man repeatedly, and he's done nothing but come up short every time, you know? And at the end of the day, it's on you, Jake, because you're supposed to be putting your faith and your blood, sweat, and tears into Yahweh Bashim Yahushai to deliver you from this madness, but yet you overly indulge, man. And it says, Monique Lockett died on February 18th at our job in the Social Security Administration's campus just outside of Baltimore. And we know that Social Security shit is very strenuous, man. Okay, you're dealing with rude people all day. In fact, the people that work there are very rude. Dealing with numbers, you're dealing with paperwork, you're dealing with people calling in and complaining. You know, you may be understaffed, and you're probably not, you know, you're probably underpaid too. You know, but for whatever reason, these women, they seem to put all into their careers until they ain't got no more to do. And it says she walked into the building and fell asleep at her desk and never woke up, according to the police. It says, according to the police report cited by CNN. All right. It says, here we go. It says she worked for SSA, Social Security Administration, for 25 years and was just 5 years from retirement. That's too long to give any goddamn job. And most people you know on a job today have been there 20 plus years, man. Like my supervisor, it's been like 20 plus years, and they're like, look, I'm getting ready to retire. I'm like, go ahead, retire, shit, because honestly speaking, you need to retire before they get you up out of here, because they're in the process of wiping house anyway. You know, same thing with the service coordinator I work with. I mean, she literally looked like she's getting ready to fall over. In the back of my mind, I'm like, this lady gonna end up having a fucking heart attack, man. You know? But it says, in the weeks leading up to her death, Monique's sister, Keisha, said Monique was deeply troubled about how Elon Musk's agenda as head of the Department of Government Efficiency to carry out major federal spending cuts and mass layoffs may impact her job. So you mean to tell me that your stress levels went up because of a fucking job, man? Okay, and this is why our people, they're not right. You know, they're mentally destroyed, because ain't no way in hell a job should lead you into oblivion to stress out to the point that you're gonna die. Now I get it, these jobs are very stressful, but it's to the point you're gonna have to walk away from that shit, man. Okay, but anyway, let's get a couple of precepts real quick, and we'll get to the point. So this is the book of Proverbs 29, and I'm going to start at verses 2. It says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. Yeah. And clearly the wicked is in rulership because everybody is mourning. Homelessness at an all-time high. Rents are skyrocketing. Food is not going down. Like I went to the store yesterday and I literally got some shit to make some sandwiches and the fucking bill was $13. Then I went to another store and I got some fresh cut deli meat. I got that. I got some potatoes and what else the hell did I get? I think it was one more item I can't call it. Maybe like a bag of like that organic popcorn. That shit came out to fucking $13, man, for 3 goddamn items, 3 punk ass items, $13. So you know we're living in an unrighteous society that's full of wickedness and uncertainty. But damn, you know, it's like enough is enough. But it says when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. That's right, and the people are in a mourning state of mind now. That's why crash out culture is at an all-time high. You know, niggas are crashing out for fucking, for hot Cheetos, man. Like I was looking at this video the brother posted, and I guess this Jake was in his store, man, and he just, behind the counter, he popped dude and didn't even get out with nothing. I think he took a couple of bucks, couldn't get in the cash register, and then he just walked out. So I'm like, you just caught a whole fucking body for nothing, bro. Like if you gonna do all that, at least leave out with something, but you just killed the whole man for nothing, man. Well, murdered him. Now you finna spend the rest of your life in jail, you damn idiot. But this is the type of mindset people are languishing, man. You see? Let's go here. Jeremiah 2. Homeborn slave. Jeremiah 2 and 14. And it reads here. The start of verses 13, it says, for my people have committed 2 evils, for they have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters. And this is why Jake is all in a famished state. It says, the fountain of living waters, and hewed them out cisterns, broken cisterns that can hold no water. Yeah, they're gods, they're idols, you know, what they put their faith and their trust in. And it says that can hold no water. But it says here, is Israel a servant? It says, is he a homeborn slave? It says, why is he spoiled? Yeah, because our people, man, they love it here. They love the tenants of Egypt. This is the same nation that cursed out Moses because Moses delivered them through the Most High, or the Most High delivered them through Moses into the wilderness, man, out of Egypt. Fed them, you know, gave them manna. Moses smote the rock, it became water. You know, Jake never got famished with the sun. You know, they was good. And yet they still wanted to go and be servants under Egypt. Because that's just the mindset of our people, man. They're just through. Famished, man. Isaiah 5, and I'm going to start at 13. It says, therefore my people are going into captivity because they have no knowledge, and their honorable men are famished, and their multitude is dried up with thirst. Yep. You know, through. And it says here, therefore hell have enlarged herself and opened her mouth without measure, and their glory and their multitude and their pomp, and he rejoiced that should descend into it. All right. And it's not talking about an actual hell, but it's talking about condition. But it says they're famished. Okay, going into the book of Lamentation. It's a sad ordeal. Sad ordeal, man. In the book of Isaiah 30. And I'm going to start at 1. It says, woe to the rebellious children, says the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me. And it says, and that cover with the covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin, that walk to go down to Egypt, and have not asked of my mouth to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Therefore, should the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust of the shadow of Egypt your confusion. Okay, and like it mentioned in the article, she was overly depressed about the job cuts because she felt that she was going to lose her job. But see, that's what happens when you put all your eggs into this world. Like in the last video I did, Love Not the World. When you put all your eggs into the basket of this world, then you're going to come up short all the time, man. And the crazy part about it is she could have been a Bible professing Christian, believing Christian. And just off the judge of accountants, I guarantee you she probably went to church every Sunday. Probably was a devoted Christian, paid the tights or whatever the hell it was, and she still dropped dead from stress, man. Which stress is the number one killer. Hey, you under that much stress, that's how your body breaks down. That's how you get diseases. Stress. You know, you got something which is called a stress response, man, in your body when the immune system activates and it sends out stress hormones. And then too much of that shit can cause inflammation, and too much inflammation will lead to diseases, and eventually you croak. You know, so she should have knew her limits. She was like, you know what, I'm not dealing with this. Should have took her like a month off or some shit, man, and left the rest up to her God. But of course, Jake, they operate with no faith because they don't really believe. You know? But it says here, my sister had a lot of anxiety around the changes that were happening in other agencies, and inevitably what will happen to the Social Security, Keisha told CNN. And this is reality for a lot of you black women. It says she was concerned about the overall well-being of everybody that she worked with because it was stressful for a lot of people, which that ain't your burden to bear, you know? And it says here, according to the spokesperson for the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner of Maryland, Lockett died of hypertensive atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease, which caused plaque buildup in the arteries. And it says Monique's sister said that her sister had also had high blood pressure and was obese, so she was overweight. And a lot of times, them sit-down jobs, and you know, you eat and you got hour lunch breaks, you're not doing any exercise. That shit is a slow killer too, man. Because most people that work a desk job, they fat as hell. You know? Now, most people that did field work for 15, 20 years, you know, after a while, they're like, you know what, I'm going to take an office job. I'm cool. I've been out in the field. But even then, they still have a particular workout regimen. But sitting in a fucking cubicle from 8 in the morning to 5 o'clock at night, that's torture, man. Okay? The human body is not designed to stay dormant that long. You have to get up and you got to move around, man. This is why now they have those Fitbit trackers. Like in my gig, they do like the 10,000 steps. They recommend people to download that on their app so you can get about 10,000 steps in a day. You know, and sometimes like just walking around the house and cleaning, like I have when I do my lessons and shit, I kind of walk around. Sometimes brothers can hear it. I kind of walk around because it's me getting my steps in. And also me walking around helps me to articulate my thoughts better. You know, it's just a habit that I picked up on as a kid. And ultimately because I seen it done, like I noticed like my mom or some shit, you know, she'd be on the phone, my pops or whatever, or whoever she's talking to. She would literally walk around the house talking on the phone. And I will assume that was a form of anxiety or just her trying to, you know, just kind of clearly think, because moving around is good for the body. You know, but if you obese and you overweight and you're not taking account of what you're eating and you working a stressful job, yeah. And she probably took the J, and I'm sure she took the J, because at that time, working for the Social Security Administration, you had to take the ordeal where you couldn't work there no more. So I guarantee you she shot that shit inside her. You know? But it says a 2019 medical journal cited by the National Institutes of Health states that chronic psychological stress can increase the risk of, atherosclerotic diseases as well as strokes and heart attacks. It says it is unclear what exactly triggered Lockett's fatal health complications on the day of her death, but Keisha believes stress had been a factor. It says she noted that Monique was also feeling undervalued at her job in her final days. And that's another thing too. So you black women, you put your fucking faith and you look for validation in these fucking jobs instead of having a husband. And I'm not saying that she wasn't married, but at the same time, I feel like if you're overly dedicating yourself to a job and you got a husband, bitch, you might as well just go and commit adultery on me, because that's what you're doing spiritually anyway. Okay, woman I'm dealing with dedicating her job to herself to her job more than me, I have a problem with that, man. You know, because that show you that, look, there's nothing that's you know, saying that you don't need me. You know, ultimately, and second of all, it's just like a form of disrespect when this is your natural role. Your duty is supposed to be towards your man. And that's why this shit happens, man. And Trump, he done fucked a lot of people's head up with this shit, man. You know, cutting programs and everything like that. Hey, people, they ain't walking around that proud no more. I mean, they are, but, hey, people are changing their tune. You know what? We don't give a shit. Hey, he can cut all these motherfucking jobs for all we care. You know, because at the end of the day, hey, it is what it is. You see? So this is the book of Job. Matter of fact, I'm going to come back to Job 11. But let's look this up. Afflict counsel. Sirach 30. And I'm going to start at verses 21. It says, give not over thy mind to heaviness, which is stress, man. It says, and afflict not thyself in thy own counsel. That's right. And she did it because, hey, she didn't walk away. She could have found a job that was less stressful. But, you know, you get those benefits. You work for the state. You know, they take care of you. Get them days off. You know, the pay is sometimes decent. You get the freedom. And, you know, essentially you just sit in the cubicle all day. Hey, that was probably freedom to the black woman, man. And the money was probably good because she's been there damn near 30 years. But it says, give not thy mind over to heaviness and afflict not thyself in thy own counsel, which that's what she was doing. And it says the gladness of the heart is the life of man, and joyfulness of a man prolong his days. So when you're totally in a state of distress and you're upset and you're stressing out, eventually you're just shortening your lifespan. But this kingdom is set up to do that. It's set up to kill your ass, man. Because like I said, man, you here, you're stressed. Bills, fucking more bills, rents going up, debt. It's just like more debt on top of debt on top of debt. You know, you get a credit score increase, and before you know it, your shit go up 30 points, and they'll drop it 60 just to get a rise out you. And it says, and envy and wrath shorten a life, and carefulness bringeth age before the time. But a cheerful and good heart will have care of his meat and diet. And clearly she didn't, because she was obese, which stress can lead to obesity. You know, which obesity can lead to other chronic diseases. And before you know it, you're dying. Job 11. And Slacky, I'm kind of all over the place, but, you know, it is what it is. You don't like it, oh well, unsubscribe. Job 11, and I'm going to start at verses, let's start at 14. It says, if iniquity be in thy hand, put it far away, and let not wickedness dwell in thy tabernacles. For then should thou lift up thy face without spot, and yea, thou should be steadfast and should not fear. Okay, because, hey, we're operating in the spirit of the Lord, so we ain't held hostage by our jobs. Yeah, we need them, and they come in handy for giving us daily bread, but overall, we don't do shit but work and pay bills. Like, I mean, that ain't no life to live. You know, you may get a few things here and there, but overall, look how hard you got to work for that shit. It's crazy, man. And it says here, because thou shalt not forget thy misery, and remember it as waters that pass away, and thine age should be clearer than the noonday, and thou shalt shine forth, and thou shalt be as the morning, because we're going to be renewed. Okay, eventually we're going to get those new bodies and a new mind. And it says, and thou shalt be secure, because there is hope, but Jake have no hope. It says, yea, thou shalt dig about thee, and thou shalt take thy rest in safety, and thou shalt lie down, and none shall make thee afraid. Yea, many should make suit unto thee, because we're going to have servants. But the eyes of the wicked shall fail, and they should not escape, and their hope should be as giving up. And it says, and their hope should be as the giving up of the ghost, man. Hey, she just went to work, and she just laid down, and she said, oh, you know what, enough is enough. It's a sad ordeal, but that's the unfortunate reality of living in Babylon. That's why this place is called bitter. America means bitter, man. Okay, and Babylon means confusion. This is a bitter fucking place. Okay, Baruch, the 3rd chapter, says, behold, we are yet this day in our captivity. We was made to drink slavery, man. And she basically died on a plantation, which was common for Jake when we was in chattel slavery. All right, so anyway, I'm going to end it giving all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Lord's will, you were edified. Until the next lesson. Shalom.